before you make any of these big steps, so that you can see whether you're getting a rise in cases. I mean, you're not going to see that for a few weeks.
40% of people say they won't use public transport again until they believe the virus has been brought under control. A survey found commuters are concerned about social distancing on trains and buses. It says a new study is suggesting wearing face coverings can limit the spread of the illness. The research by the University of Edinburgh found they can reduce the distance breath travels outwards by more than 90%. But the team also discovered some masks allow air to escape from the back and sides. And Dr. Ignazio Maria Viola says that can be a major problem.
For example, imagine you're coughing in front of someone. Instead of being rude and you turn around to cough, and actually it's even worse because you might invest the person in front of you just with this leakage jet.
The maximum fine in Wales for people who break lockdown rules has been increased to almost £2,000. First Minister Mark Drakeford has increased the fines for repeat offenders after discussions with police ahead of the bank holiday weekend. Our reporter Peter Gillibrand has the details.
Police forces across Wales are worried about people flocking to well-known beauty spots like the mountains of Snowdonia or the Brecon Beacons. Officers say using the fines are a last resort. While the lockdown restrictions in England have been relaxed, the advice in Wales is still to stay at home.
In the city, the FTSE 100 will reopen at 60.67 after closing up 64 points yesterday. The pound buys $1.21 and €1.12. The weather, a band of showers, perhaps with some thunder, moving northeastwards, clearing the majority of the UK by early this afternoon. Still warm, particularly in the southeast, a high of 26 Celsius. From Global's newsroom, you're up to date.
We're all juggling a lot at the moment. Take me. I'd normally be making a documentary right now, but at home, I've had to become my parents' questionable IT consultant, a glitchy virtual colleague, and a distinctly average quiz show host. Which is why BT assembled some of the nation's favourite faces for a series of tech how-tos on homeschooling, digital well-being, working from home, online safety, video calling, and more. To watch these guides, search BT Tech Tips. BT, beyond limits.
System. I'm asking you, and of course we'd all subscribe to that, wouldn't it be wonderful? But the way the country has fared so far, do you have much faith in us providing a world-beating system? Full details on that. This headline suggests that lockdown could be eased within 10 days. Well, if you look at parts of the country, it seemed to be easy yesterday, the wisdom or otherwise, and you have to have sympathy for some of these people. They've possibly been cooped up in small apartments or flats for the last 8 weeks. It's hardly surprising to see a bit of sunshine that they get out, but I need to, of course, tell you, you still should observe those restrictions. To the airline sector, how does Wizz Air say it can recover from the problems in just 1 year as opposed to 3 for the whole of the airline industry? You'll hear from the boss later in this hour. Also, university students are revolting, and who can blame them if their courses are going to be held online? Why should they pay those hefty fees? And that London council responsible for the lack of care that saw the deaths of Victoria Plombier and baby P, Peter Connolly, at it again, allowing a paedophile to have access to 2 children, sanctioned by Haringey Council. Details later in the show.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
Long on rhetoric, short on delivery. That might be applied to some aspects of what the government has tried to do. Whether you're talking about the provision of PPE, aspects of how the care home sector were looked at, tests which they got to by the skin of their teeth. And now they say we're going to have a world-beating track and trace system. And as you're hearing, health bodies, health organisations are saying if track and trace is not in place, you can forget easing the lockdown. How does track and trace work? What are these boasts by the government? LBC's political editor Theo Ashwood has the details. Theo.
A track and trace system capable of finding the contacts of 10,000 new coronavirus cases every single day will be in place by June the 1st. That was the promise of Boris Johnson at PMQs yesterday, and it marked a significant change in tack from the government. Only on Monday, the Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab was saying the new phone app, supported with thousands of tracers in call centres across the country, the system would be up and running in the weeks ahead.
And as and when the testing capacity and the tracing capacity is up and running, we'll be able to, it'll give us more room for manoeuvre and more flexibility. So we're making very sure that we're taking the right steps at the right moment. And obviously the testing and the tracing is going to be a key component, particularly medium to longer term. In terms of the app, it's still our intention to roll it out across the country for everyone to use in the weeks ahead. I can't be any more precise at this stage.
Now, the reason the Prime Minister has taken this decision is that track and trace is the first line of defence in the face of a second wave of COVID-19. A new case pops up, that individual registers the fact they have symptoms on their phone app, they will then get a test, and then the trackers will take the data from their phones, those phone numbers of people they've been in contact with, and get in touch and tell those individuals to self-isolate. Yesterday, the Prime Minister was adamant it will be up and running before any further restrictions are lifted. Trackers.
By the 1st of June, already we've recruited 24,000 trackers, and by the 1st of June we will have 25,000. They will be capable of tracking the contacts of 10,000 new cases a day.
The criticism of the government is that this mass testing programme was already government policy up until March the 12th, when it was abandoned. Labour leader Keir Starmer said
so sorry, Dr. Michael Veal, who's a lecturer in digital rights and regulation at the University College London, and joins me now. Doctor explains how the technology works here. Good morning.
So the fact is that many countries around the world at the moment have been working through their different ways. Some apps effectively play so much of the data that you get seeing other people using Bluetooth into the cloud, where you can see all socially what person saw. But the UK is quite alone in that particular kind of app because our country has not chosen an interoperable, decentralized system.
Okay, just break that down. I'm terribly sorry. When you say interoperable, decentralized, what does that mean in layman's terms, Doctor?
Yeah, this means that you can go between countries how the apps work, and you won't run out of any price. Decentralized means that you have to have a central database every so often. The company happens to be receiving the
So hang on a second. Sorry to talk over you, sir. Are we the only one, is the United Kingdom the only one pursuing this particular style then?
Norway, India, and France conceptually they choose to roll that out.
As an expert in the field, what's your reaction to that?
This is the vast majority of other countries, including the Republic of Ireland, choose a decentralized system supported by Apple and Google, who effectively make this work very well in the past. The UK is just as effectively using the kind of monopolies and the protests that we have in the UK for the last time. And this is one of the things that they have to rely on so important. So people data their symptoms rather than interoperable systems, and in doing so can rely on other people's notes. So the whole idea is that if you do this in such a decentralized database, then people like log in on your report, and they can do some sort of drill down as to what can be if people are truly vulnerable to exactly what such activity has been done.
Doctor, let me ask you this. If you're allowed that in Europe we could probably learn lessons, and this at least from a country such as Germany, and elsewhere we could probably learn lessons from countries such as South Korea, Japan, possibly Singapore, although Singapore is a very strange state country. Which ones have they gone for? They've gone for the other one, have they?
So brilliant. Germany, for example, is rolling out the decentralized application and has testing. Switzerland's already building with the Swiss, the decentralized system in Switzerland and
So Germany's not going for the sort we're going for?
No, it's not. Neither are Paris or Northern Ireland. I believe that's the Northern Irish Assembly yesterday. And so we're seeing quite a lot of segmentation, but also these countries have tests that can be returned within a day. So perhaps we need to focus on having the correct testing environment before we think about technological solutions.
And how long does it take our tests to be returned? I'm so sorry.
So we've seen reports of tests coming back 7, even over days, more than that, days later on.
7+ days.
Yeah, we have the average. What's the average? We don't really know the exact average, but we've said something that it's definitely not
And sorry, the British one is decentralised, the others are centralised, right? So we're going centralised, okay. And do we know, lastly, I'm sorry, thank you so much. Do we know what Asia, parts of Asia? You know so much. Fascinating talking to you. I sense we'll talk again. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Dr. Michael Veal is a lecturer in digital rights and regulation at UCL. Man, it's like when the penny dropped in something at school. Whoa, I've got it. I've got this. I actually know what algebra is. Thank you. Your reactions then. We want to be a world beater, but if you look at what Germany are going for, Singapore have now gone for, and even Northern Ireland, we're going for a different. Why do we just have one that works? Also, should we go to the airline sector? Some saying that it could take 3 years to bounce back.
Discover new opportunities at Wizz.com.
Wizz Air say they'll do it in 12 months. You'll hear from the boss. Explain how later in the hour. 7:16 NBC News headlines. Holly Harris.
NHS leaders are warning there could be a second spike in coronavirus infections if restrictions are lifted before a track and trace system is in place in England. Transport for London's commissioned a study into the deaths of dozens of bus workers in London who were exposed to COVID-19. The maximum fine in Wales for people who break lockdown laws has been increased to almost £2,000. The weather, showers clearing northeastwards through the day, a high of 26 Celsius.
LBC Travel, I'm Cross Corner, and there are queues on the approach. Also on the North Circular Road, it's slow westbound from the A10 at Edmonton to Palmer's Green. In Edmonton, motorway is closed northbound because of roadworks. Very busy northbound to the Blackwall Tunnel. There's a queue from before the Woolwich Road flyover and slow on the highway westbound to Tower Hill.
This is LBC.
If you want a career in media, your future starts here. The Global Academy, a unique school recruiting students for Year 10 and Year 12 who want to work in broadcast and digital media.
There's nowhere that really can offer what the Global Academy offers.
Based on the same thing, interest in media, whatever it is you want to do.
The Global Academy, rated good by Ofsted. Get more info and apply now for September 2020. Search Global Academy.
Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Working with government and National Rail, TfL has a plan to help London reopen carefully, safely and sustainably. We're in this together and you have a vital part to play. Continue working from home if you can. Avoid public transport to allow those that must use it to do so safely. Walk or cycle to work if you can. We're adding cycleways and widening pavements to help. If you must travel, travel off-peak, especially in the mornings. For those who must use public transport, it is now very different. Follow national social distancing measures of 2 metres wherever possible. Wear a face covering over your nose and mouth and wash your hands before and after travel. Our services are regularly cleaned with hospital-grade antiviral disinfectant for everyone's safety. And we're providing hand sanitizer across the public transport network to help reduce the spread of the virus. Thank you for your help. Search TfL's Restart Plan. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
At Filippo Berio Olive Oil, our master blenders never stop until they find the perfect flavor worthy of our founder signature that you will still see in every bottle. Filippo Berio, his signature, our promise. Find us at your supermarket today.
We're all in uncharted territory looking for ways to support our communities. At Dell Technologies, we're making sure small businesses have the right tech solutions. Dell Technologies advisors are here for you, helping small businesses stay connected and productive while working remotely with Windows 10 Pro and Microsoft Teams. We're standing by you every step of the way. Call us today on 0800 169 1745. That's 0800 169 1745.
This is an important update from the government about coronavirus. We all need to stay alert so we can control the virus and reduce the risk of infection. Staying alert means you must stay at home as much as possible. Work from home if you can. Limit contact with others. Keep your distance if you go out. And wash your hands regularly. Do not leave home if you or anyone in your household has symptoms. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
With Zero, accounting software for small businesses that works anywhere you do.
20 minutes after 7, Christian with the first caller on track and trace or contact tracing. I certainly learned a lot. And I say again, I don't get why it has to be world beating. Let's just have an effective one. Why would it be the world? Indeed, at the moment, why would we have any pride? Hey, look what we've achieved. Meanwhile, there are thousands and thousands of Swedes dying in front of us. But look what we've been. We're not like that anymore. Are we? Let's tell you where we are now with coronavirus cases around the world. And as we thought yesterday, sadly, we have now got over 5 million confirmed cases globally. 5,089,923, of whom sadly succumbing to these symptoms 329,729. In the United Kingdom, confirmed cases stands at 248,293. The death toll, again, condolences if this touches you personally, 35,704. That's up 363. A huge increase in testing. 177,216 over that target of 100,000 they wanted by the month at the end of last month. We're now there. It's made up to that 77,000 target. So congratulations to all involved. Quickly, the front pages of the newspapers. Let's give you some hope, shall we? Some uplifting moments, because there are some headlines that do gladden you a little bit. Here we are. NHS and care staff to be offered virus antibody test within days, says The Guardian. Hospital admissions fall to the lowest level during crisis, says The Times. PM promises tracing by June to help open schools. course, we're talking about that race for track and trace. The Daily Mirror, trace against time. They go with the same story that we've started with. Summer holiday plan for Britain. Britons could be allowed to take breaks in the UK if there is no second spike, says the The Daily Mail. Boris plans to relax lockdown in 10 days. You might want to take a look at pictures of events in places such as Walton on the Naze and Bournemouth and Southend. I think they decided December anyway. The Daily Express, we must win obesity war for the sake of the NHS. And the Financial Times, the Bank of England thinking of using negative rates for the first time to spur recovery. We'll go into that in more detail in about 10 minutes' time with our city expert. And that means the banks charge you for the privilege of looking after your money. I mean, that is quite incredible. The idea is then you go, from my knowledge of economics, the idea is you're then meant to whip the money out and spend and spur the economy on. We'll look at that in more detail. Lastly, The Sun. That's an unfortunate story, really, if you are a fan, as I am, of Steve Coogan, who I think is a tremendously gifted comic actor, the Alan Partridge staff. He's decided to furlough the gardener and housekeeper at his £4 million country mansion. The Sun newspaper pointing out that he is very much on the left. He was a close friend of Jeremy Corbyn, and now he's letting you and I pay for his gardeners. And I think the man who looks after us, who looks after us, a questionable one, really. Track and trace, the best in the world. Chris in Richmond. Do you want to be the best in the world, Chris? Good morning.
No, I'm not just despair, Nick. It's just another classic British case of exceptions. I mean, I've had what else if the technology works in Germany and in Korea and other countries where clearly they've got the virus under control. Why do we have to go down a different road?
God knows. I don't understand sport. I just don't get it.
Well, but then the whole plan of schools going back on the 1st of June, or starting to go back on the 1st of June, is predicated on the idea of having testing up and running.
Yeah.
We're doing better on that. And a track and trace system, so if a child is sick, and possibly the teacher and the family, etc., you need that working.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart, and the teachers' unions will turn around and say, sorry, girl, we're not going back to work.
Let me ask you this. So it doesn't bother you, nor does it bother me, but do you think we're capable of having a world-beating track and trace system anyway?
Well, I'm not sure we are. I mean, look at the settled status scheme. I mean, it's a similar issue. Right? My wife spent weeks trying to get it set. We couldn't even work on the iPhone. It's the same here. I wish we just applied technologies that worked in other countries. That's what businesses do, right? Most businesses don't invent their own accounting software, right? They rely on Oracle as they build them. It's no different here, Nick.
Right. Chris, we didn't always agree in the past, but we're absolutely on the same page. Look after your family. Thank you. I'm only moving on to get others involved. 7:24, Paul in Bow. Paul, you're on the radio. I want us to have the best, but I'd just be happy to have one that's as good as Germany. What about you? Good morning.
Well, first of all, I think all the comparisons which you've been making and also Star may be making, it's all very well comparing with Korea, which has had various other epidemics before and has prepared properly for it, because it's in East Asia where you get these things. Germany's are obviously exceptional, but the point is, why not compare us with France and Italy and Spain? Because the big countries in Europe have had similar difficulties.
Well, I'd rather compare with Germany.
What happened in the UK has also happened in France. All the shortages, the problems.
Paul, I'd rather compare us with Germany, where everyone accepts they've handled... Let me explain why. Where everyone accepts that they've handled the crisis far better, and the population figures are about the same. Why can't I compare us with Germany?
Well, can I explain it? The difference is this, and this explains why we had dropped the testing to start with. As Donald Cumming said, on coming into power with Bojo, one of the reasons he criticised the UK civil service was that we were totally unprepared for a pandemic. We were totally unprepared. In due course, we have to criticise the current government. We need to hold their feet to the fire over issues we've just been discussing about which app you use or which tracing technique. That's absolutely fine, because that's where the pressure should be to make sure that to discuss that as much as possible and to hold the government's feet to the fire.
Grateful for that, Paul. I must move on to other conversations. Thank you. We will try and get some responses to why we're not happy to go with a system that would appear to be working in other countries, but let's look at other matters. Let's look at the airline sector now. It was only recently we were talking about British Airways having to shed thousands of jobs. Virgin Atlantic, so Richard Branson seemed to be fighting to try and keep the airline afloat, if you'll pardon the mixed metaphor there, and problems, of course, right across the sector. Now, some experts are saying it will take 3 years